If you guys don't mind, I'm going to record this because I know there's going to be a lot of brilliant conversation and I want to get it.
Shall we begin then, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, great. Well, first, as you know, this is our last event or our last call of the year. So first of all, thank you very much for everyone participating. It is a great turnout and it's always great to see everyone, even if winter has started, at least in some places. I guess in Mexico, it's still pretty warm, but elsewhere it's probably not so warm. Espen, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself? Because this could be the first time, is it the first time that you've been with this group? Esteban, you have your mute on.
Sorry. Can you ask again? Sorry.
Just if you'd kindly say a few words about yourself and your firm for everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, I'm Esteban Puente from Mexico, as you can see in the name below. I'm part of Bluestone. It's a firm of 5 years. We have actually experience in commercial real estate about 13 years. I used to work in an industrial park, so we have quite a few experience regarding bringing foreign direct investments into Mexico, attending different clients from Korea, from Germany, from all around the world. We could say Japanese companies, not to establish here in Mexico, no? And we have we could say a side business. Bluestone is part. Has a partnership with an industrial park called Worldport Industrial Park, which is 70 hectares, more or less, with a spur connecting Kansas City Southern. You know that Kansas City Southern comes from United States. It reaches Lázaro Cárdenas, which is one of the most important ports in Mexico. And well, it goes from Lázaro Cárdenas and to the north, actually reaches Canada. So we have in this industrial park, we're next to this backbone of Kansas City Southern. And well, I think, I don't know if you have any more questions, Jonathan. I think that's about it.
I think that's good. Thank you very much. So a recently added affiliate in Mexico, actually with a lot of foreign business, a lot of inbound business coming from Europe as well as Japan, as you mentioned, but not only automotive industry, but a number of other industries as well. So great. Thank you very much, Esteban.
Thanks to everyone.
We thought we would start off with one of the newest locations, even newer than Mexico, I believe, Dubai. And Brightwitch has set up an office there, and Marina is kind enough to share a bit of insight as to what they're planning to do there and the market. And tell us, Marina, how things are going, please.
So good evening and good day. Hello, everyone again. We happy to be here, not only as the Russian branch now, but also as a Dubai one. So also Victor is joining us. We actually prepare a brave presentation to show you what is Dubai is, and maybe to dispel some myths that are around. So I will share with you right now the presentation, I guess. Is everybody can see it?
I believe so.
Yes. So we invite you to Dubai. Imagine that it's warm everywhere right now. We will mention some numbers, facts, and as I said, we'll dispel some myths that exist around this country and emirate. So United Arab Emirates is made up of 7 emirates. Abu Dhabi, as you know, is the capital, and Dubai is the most economically developed emirate and where the most of the business is located. We took a photo of the area, which is shown on the first photo by 1981. And here you can see what Dubai is like 40 years ago and what it have become now. So it's a great difference, and it's really impressive, especially when you're standing on the street and see it in reality. Also, we should mention that there are 4 airports located and in the access to Dubai. So there are 2 airports in Dubai. It's the International Dubai Airport, and the second one is Al Maktoum Airport. There is also airport in Abu Dhabi. It's a couple hours by car from Dubai, and there is one more in Sharjah. It's just a few kilometers away. So Dubai is a big city. The population is around 3.4 million people, but it's very important to note and understand that it's not only the residents. There are around another 4 million people who come in there as the tourists. So altogether, in average, there are around 8 million people in Dubai during the year. So it's enough big number. And let's dispel one of the most popular myths that Dubai is mostly about Arabians. Actually, there are only 12% is the United Arab nation there. All other 88% is people from different countries, including India, Europe, CIS countries, so actually all around the world. And in this case, Dubai is very comparable with New York because there are many nationalities there, and at the same time everyone is very comfortable with their usual way of life. So it's very interesting when you're walking around the streets there and you can see people almost like from everywhere. Also, this is the reason why Dubai is one of the safest places in the world. Of course, it's achieved by different security measures and video cameras and police. But on the other hand, as we remember, there are 88 people visa residents. So it means that each of us has some reasons for the deportation. And of course, everyone respects the rules, and it's very, very safety. So you remember the picture where the difference of 40 years between the same place, and this is actually the big process, and Dubai has a very big plan, Dubai 2040, which is already accepted, and they have the budget for this, and on various types they plan to develop the city in the future, increase the number of the beaches, of the places to go, of different schools, and of course about business. So Dubai for right now is one of the business friendly environment and places, and of course it's achieved by a lot of measures, and one of these is about taxes. So it's probably one of the best conditions because they have the zero tax on income, on dividends, and on salaries. And they have the 5% VAT. Actually, this was accepted only in 2018, so not far away. And they have just one more tax, which actually planned to be accepted in the mid 2023, so the next year. It will be the 9% tax for the companies who do revenue more than $100,000 monthly. Another interesting and good point is that Arab Emirates and the United States of America have fixed the exchange rate, and it's one of the most stable in the world. So one dirham is always $3.65 US. So it's constant and never changing. And now time to discuss one more myth is that Dubai earns mostly its money on oil, gas, and other resources. Actually, if we'll take a look on the diagram, there is only 1.9% from the resources. Even tourism is only 5%, but we remember that there are around 4 million tourists coming there. And at the same time, there are 26% of the GDP is made by trade. Another 12% made by logistics, what is logical because they have a lot of airports and they have 2 big ports. and 11% is made by finance. For 2022, there is a forecast for the GDP around plus 4.6%. So it means that Dubai will have the leading economy in MENA region, and I guess that they have all chances to become the biggest here in this area, and probably they will even overtake the Saudi Arabia. Of course, it's one of the biggest financial centers in the world, and in terms of financial sector, Dubai get in the top. There is actually the Global Financial Centers Index 30, so they have the first place in the MENA region and 18 in the world. And of course, all of you know the Fortune 500 rating. So for today, already around 140 companies have opened their offices in Dubai. So they have their branches, they have their offices. Even one of the biggest offices have the Bank of America. They moved it here from Bangkok. And here on this picture, you can see it's the DIFC free zone. It's the Dubai International Financial District, one of the largest free zones where most of the international biggest financial companies are located. In general, in Dubai, there are 24 free zones, and it's important to understand that it's not like something divided in the city. It's just a very lovely blocks in the city that is absolutely the part of the city, and if you will come to Dubai, you definitely have a chance to work there. These blocks divided by different sectors, so they put all pharmacy companies together, all science companies together, all logistic companies, and so on. So people cooperate, build their networks, have some their special tax and financial terms. And it's very nice areas where everyone actually can come, visit it, and see how it works. So here we presented different rankings because Dubai, like everyone, to be everywhere first and the biggest, so they have a good positions in different international ratings. Now let's get into the real estate of Dubai, because it's also a very growing market. So it's enough big, and it's interesting that actually 70% of the deals is made with the foreigners buyers. And of course, there is one more myth that the real estate market of Dubai is just like the big bubble, and of course it will fall down. So here we presented the UBS Price Bubble Index. I guess all of you know it. And you can see that Dubai is actually just on the just in the beginning of this index. They have 0.16. So it means that actually it's undervalued market. A lot of people come in here, a lot of projects are under construction. Yes, it is very fast market. Sometimes you just have no ways to choose what you want to buy, just have to bring money. But anyway, it has a very big prospects. If we take a look at the yields charts, we can see that actually on the short-term contracts in the residential real estate, buyers can expect an indicator of 8-9%. If we take a long-term lease contracts, it will be a little bit lower, around 5-6%. Regarding the questions why it's so, it depends for who you will lease the property. It depends because the residents and the tourists have different conditions for renting premises, as well as in the prices. That's why there are such different numbers for tourists and for the people who lease property for like 1 to 3 months and who make the long-term contracts. Here we represented the key developers from the different segments. For example, Yimar and Damak, it's one of the biggest companies I guess some of you have heard about them. Yamar is actually the government company who have built the biggest part of the downtown. Actually, when you come into their office, they will tell you that Yamar is Dubai and Dubai is Yamar. There are some like family companies, for example, like Bingati, who build quite small projects, but they do everything by themselves. There is also Nakhil, you also may have heard about this company. They were the company who built the Palm, and they were organizing it by itself. Omniyat, it's the top luxury property in Dubai. So there are all segments for different prices and different budgets. What is nice is that in general, this is the classical markets, and most of the developers working with the escrow accounts. So it means that you have a less risk for the buyers. So in this case, it's absolutely traditional market. One of the big advantages of the Dubai real estate market is that they have a very comfortable payment plans. So here on the slide, we presented like the average payment example. Normally you have the down payment around 10%, sometimes maybe 20%, and you plus the 4% payment by land department to register your ownership. Then you have some monthly or each quarter payments till the moment of handover. And on the moment of handover, you pay the balance. Also, most of the developers give you the right to resell your ownership after you have paid 30%. And some developers, they give more time for payment. After commissioning, they can give you 1 or 2 years. And, all this payment plan without any interest. So you just pay step by step. So to summarize, you have the down payment around 10 up to 20%. Then you have the regular payments till the moment of the commissioning. And then on the stage of commissioning an object, you pay the balance. Sometimes you can get some more time. One of the advantages of purchasing the real estate in Dubai is that you can get the visa from $200 or $5,000. You can get the 2 years visa. They have changed it just a couple weeks ago. Before it was the 3 years visa, so now it's 2 years. And if you buy from $550,000, then you can get a 10 years visa. A big advantage is that visa getting not only by yourself, but also by the members of your family. And when it expires, you can renew it. So it's comfortable and not a very big sum to begin. And here we show the most popular districts in Dubai. Of course, it's Dubai Marina, Palm Jumeirah. It's the areas which are just in front of water. MBR City, it's a very big new district, which is partly already built, partly under construction. There are a lot of projects. And here also, not far away from here would be one more, the highest tower in the world, which is also in progress. Downtown and Business Bay, also one of the most popular districts. So this is the main points. We actually have here presented also different projects in different areas. I think that we will follow up this presentation via email after our call. And also we have prepared the new catalog with all projects in Dubai in real estate, in residential real estate, and we also would be happy to share it. What is more, we, for right now, I guess in a couple of weeks, we'll finalize our partnership program, so we can give you the access for generate the leads, and we would be happy to share the information with you for your clients. Also, we can provide you all materials, so you can have some content materials for your websites and maybe for your social media. Because, as I said, in Dubai, there is only 12% of the local people who live from Arabia. Most of the people are coming from Europe. There are a lot of people from England, Germany, France as well, from India, from Indonesia. So it's a very international market, and we would be happy to help you and your clients to open this market and to find the best solutions. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. That was really very informative and great. Our questions, I don't see everyone. I don't know if you do, Jonathan.
Marina, did you already open your office in Dubai?
Yes, actually, Victor, I have seen him here also on the line. He is right now in Dubai. Also, Evgeny, our second shareholder, he is also in Dubai. We have several people moved from our local teams, and actually we just have signed up, well, almost signed up the lease agreement and make the deposit for our office. So I guess that till the end of the year, we will finish some construction works. I will stop to see everybody, yes. In case you plan your trip to Dubai, we would be happy to meet with you there to show you the city and maybe to organize some corporate meetings there. We are very open for this. So you're very, very welcome. Taking into account that right now it's a very good season, so the temperature is very nice. Yes, it's not so
Now's a good
hot.
time, huh?
Yes, absolutely. It's, I guess, Victor, it's around plus 20, 25 degrees right now. Yes, something like this.
Second, I'll check. 27.
27. Anyway, it's really comfortable.
One question: How do you get retained in this market? Usually from the seller or from the buyer?
Well, it depends what we are selling and what the client.
Usually from the seller. Usually from the seller.
Yes, from the seller.
Okay, so you can make agreements with all these big developers.
Yes.
Yes. If you're working with developers, they pay us commission.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
It's big commission, around 5%, sometimes 7%, 10% for some projects.
Yeah. Very good.
Yes.
Well, good luck with that. Sounds great. Sounds good time.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just going to ask, has there been any dialogue about international inward investment out of Dubai from the Middle East? Any contacts that you've built up that want to put money into Europe?
We have right now some clients who are looking from Russia to move money there because it's also a big sector on the one hand. On the other hand, if we take a look, I guess that at least half of the companies who are right now in Dubai is the companies from India, from Indonesia, and other Asian regions. So I know that from the CORFAC, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but we were talking on the previous call. We also planned the call for Asia chapter. They have some interest and also asked us to represent Dubai because they have some clients who is interested in this area. So yes.
And may I ask, you've hired local agents then, locals to be part of your team?
We are in the process of this, and of course, it would be great to have as well the local agents, because I have been there in August. I guess it was the end of August, and it's quite special market with some it's local points. So of course, we plan to get people from the local market as well.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's certainly a mix of locals as well as foreigners, because the foreigners need to have the connections to all of the foreigners who go there to bring money to Dubai to make those investments.
Absolutely.
That's good. Well, we're
We
all
already
behind.
have some local contracts, and we have also some local partners there with who we cooperate for some projects. So yes, you're absolutely right.
Right. Well, it was certainly a very interesting tax regime. It makes it interesting for a number of companies to be there, and certainly from our markets as well, in particular from Europe. Ian's smiling. He's got competition there from Ireland, right?
Yes.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, may we just move on to first say thank you very much for the presentation, Marina and Victor. We wish you much success. We're very happy to be adding Dubai to the CORFAC family, and I'm certainly with great expectations. We know that you will succeed there. It is a great market, and we're all certainly here supporters of that market. And should we have business or be able to get business from your market to our markets, it's always a two-way street, and it's always great. More markets, the better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Should we move on just to a little bit of housekeeping as we move on to the next section here, Jonathan, about the upcoming conferences. I mentioned that this is our last sort of gathering for this year. But of course, next year, do you want to let us know what's happening, what's next?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. As usual, CORFAC will do 2 conferences in 2023. We will be in Orlando, Florida, in early March. And we will be in Detroit, hosted by Mason and his guys, in late September. So as usual, and I know COVID has slowed down participation from our international partners to come over, but we're hoping perhaps like you've done in the past, maybe a group of you might be able to get to one or both of those conferences, but just letting you know, we'll be promoting them, Orlando regularly here shortly, and then Detroit a little bit later in 2023. And Mason, I don't know if you want to say anything about Detroit or not, but.
Well, I just would really love it if all of my friends around the world would make their way to Detroit. We're going to go out of our way to really have a great conference here. And I'm just hoping that we can have some great international participation because we're really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Maybe we could also just take a moment if there's anyone who wants to share any news about their market. I'll start with Switzerland. You know, most economies are talking about recession and thinking how deep is it going to be in a number of markets. The Swiss, however, the Swiss National Bank and others are not predicting a recession for Switzerland, even though its largest trading partner, the European Union, is expected to have a recession. The Swiss pat themselves on the back by saying that their technologically advanced products are in fact needed elsewhere in the world, but believe it or not, their economy is good. Inflation is running around 3%. That's high. Swiss think that's a very high inflation rate, and the Swiss National Bank has made some rather abrupt rather abrupt increases in the interest rate, shocks to the market. But what we have seen so far, nonetheless, is a continuing stable, strong economy, even though interest rates have doubled, certainly for real estate projects. They've doubled over the past 9 months since the beginning of the year. And what we see is that today, interestingly, reasonable product will ask as a yield, as a cap rate, will be equal to or a little bit less what a fixed rate mortgage would be. Right now, the floating rate mortgages are relatively low, around 1%. But if you're getting a fixed rate mortgage, it might be a little over 2, depends on how long you're going. And cap rates now will be for good products around 2%. So it's clearly for parties that want to just park money and don't need financing. And lastly, with respect to the Swiss market, everyone's nervous. Everyone's told they should start wearing sweaters instead of using the heat. Everyone's concerned about what pricing will be and how that might impact inflation. But the government is certainly, as I said, taking steps by increasing the interest rate to cool things off. That was a bit of a longer update on Switzerland, but I'm most happy to hear about other markets. Alistair, may I ask you just to give us, because London is in the UK is often a bellwether of what's going to happen in Europe.
I haven't got a clue what's going on. They say a day is a very long time in politics. I think about an hour is very long in real estate terms. I'd love to have inflation at 3%, but it's at 10. I'd love to have interest rates or yields at 2%, but actually they are pushing out all the time. It's kind of a perfect storm here at the moment. We have a 300 million square foot central London market with ever increasing vacancy rates, which at pre-pandemic were at round about 2.5% to 3% in the cycle. They're now round about 7% and climbing. You'll all know Canary Wharf out in the east. A lot of the American banks went out there. A lot of the developers, the Reichmans did from Canada. The development out there. There are stats in showing about a 30% vacancy rate out there in Canary Wharf at the moment. And what we talk about is net effective rents, which takes a headline rent and devalues it by virtue of the incentive package that's created. Net effective rents at parts of Canary Wharf are now in single figures, below £10 a square foot because of the huge amount of availability. But what we do have is a shortage of good quality, sustainable office accommodation. So rental values, believe it or not, with all of that background, are still rising for good quality accommodation. Something a little bit different, that's not what we call the vanilla stock of raised floors, metal ceilings, etc. There's a big demand now for inspirational offices to get people back to work. So warehouses and just different types of spaces being inspirational. Close proximity to transport connectivity, various different two-tier markets appearing on that front. I've mentioned the sustainability argument. Fitted versus unfitted. We now have a marketplace where it's a roughly 50-50, where landlords will pay that capex and fit the space out. Tenants will pay a bit more for it, but it saves them having to go to the bank to borrow money. Our banks are closing ranks. Banks, funnily enough, never really say no to anybody. They just write you a term sheet at 8, 10, 12%, just to tell you that actually they don't want to lend you the money. And therefore, landlords with good balance sheets are now turning to creating fitted space for tenants to move into with lower rent-free periods, better rents, and that is a trend. So we've a mixed bag here. And then to throw the last point in is this embedded carbon story, where there is a very, very strong push against new development and promoting refurbishment of existing stock into sustainable offices. So it really is a perfect storm at the moment. But there is churn, there is demand. But if you are trying to sell something that's vacant at the moment, we've seen a substantial decrease in capital values for short-term income properties and vacant properties, probably by as much as 30-35%. I wouldn't be at all surprised if from their peaks, they probably fall by 50% as a total. So that's the sort of equivalent of £1,000 a square foot for an empty building pre-COVID to somewhere around about £500-550 a square foot now. So some interesting times in our marketplace. And as we all know from our marketplaces, there are always differences of opinions and difference of views. But we plow on. We are expecting a very tough year next year.
Wow. Can someone at least take the mid-road between Switzerland and the UK and share some news on their market?
Well, we all want to be in the sunshine in Dubai, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're very welcome. We can make a Dubai party, no problem.
Well, that might be a very good lead in to ask the question where our 2023 summer affiliates meeting should be. But I think in the summer, it's about 40 Celsius or over 100 in Dubai.
Yes, so we actually were discussing this with Victor, and we would be happy to make it in Dubai, but the question of the timing, because yes, if we do it like in June and July, it's the hottest month in the year. So it's perfect from October till probably March, maybe April or later.
Yes.
That's the best time. We would be more than happy to be the host, but just the time frames because of the climate.
Mhm. Are there other, yes?
I was just going to say Canada might be in that middle ground. It depends who you believe on forward projections, but interesting. I mean, the cost of borrowing has gone up by 3.5% since they started the central bank rate hikes. So your return on investment today, if you buy, is less than your cost of borrowing, which certainly is slowing down trying to get anything done. But at the same time, landlords are looking for higher interest rates and getting them on industrial. Reverse probably true on office. But there's still strong policy for increased immigration. So the province of Ontario, for example, has brought forward a new bill which will streamline the approval process, and they're trying to get 1.5 million homes built. So that may spur the economy along positively, but certainly uncertain times.
Any other markets to share?
Well, I can give you a quick update on Ireland. Yeah, I suppose we might even be that middle line between Switzerland and the UK. I think that I'm spending a lot of time speaking to fund managers who are based in London, trying to explain to them how Irish yields are lower than yields in London, which, you know, historically has never really been the case, but clearly the cost of borrowing here is 100 to 150 basis points lower. We've in recent weeks, the Irish economy is very dependent on the tech sector, and clearly we've seen a lot of job reductions in the tech sector. So I think there's increased nervousness in the office market here around that. We haven't seen that feed through to huge releases of space. And in fact, there's a lot of tech companies here actively advertising for Facebook and Twitter employees. So we just don't know whether it's going to, soften the office market here. Yields have moved out. As Alistair was saying, yields have really moved out on non-ESG compliant space, and we're now seeing pricing reach a level where it actually makes economic sense to buy those and green them in some way. And clearly with this whole push for maintaining embedded carbon and whatnot, I would expect that trend is going to really continue. But that is only that the pricing is only now reached a low enough level for buildings that are not ESG compliant for that sort of strategy to make sense. So we're expecting to see a lot more activity there. The retail market is very, very quiet, purely because of nervousness around potential recession and what's going to happen to consumer spending next year. The logistics market here is all over the place at the moment. I couldn't tell you what anything's worth, but there's an awful lot of tenant demand still. And likewise in the residential sector, it is the occupational side demand is unbelievably strong, and is the crisis there is only going to get worse because lending for construction has dried up, so there's been very few new starts. So it's going to make for quite a tight residential market and opportunities to build next year. So we're cautiously optimistic for next year, but at the same time, not expecting to be rushed off our feet.
Yeah. But you see pricing adjusted already in terms that the sellers are accepting lower pricing. I mean, also the question is to Alistair as well.
Yeah, that started. That's only we'd probably a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months there, where we had an awful lot of deals fall out of bed, pricing move sideways, and vendors weren't willing to transact at prices that the market was willing to pay. In the last few weeks, that has changed. And I think there's just increasing nervousness amongst vendors. So if they are wanting to get out, they're now swallowing the pricing that's available. We're now seeing buildings that have, been hanging around for, 6 months or so transacting. And as I say, they are transacting at prices that kind of make sense, that reflect the qualities of those buildings. So as for what we would call a stranded asset, so a building that needs work, in a very, very good location in Dublin, they're now buying those at a sort of 6% cap rate, which is, let's say it's €700 a foot. So there's plenty of headroom there to allow you to spend money on it and turn it back out to the market. There has been a bit of a flight to quality. So really, really good prime buildings of pricing has held up reasonably well. I'd say it's maybe moved out 30 basis points.
Yeah. So stranded assets in central Dublin for 6%.
Yeah, very roughly speaking. Yeah.
600-700 euros per square foot.
And I think that's where they need to be, for it to make sense.
I think from a London perspective, any asset that's on the market at the moment is a forced sale asset. It's it needs to be disposed of. It's either because of the redemptions through the funds. A lot of the funds are closed redemptions to stop the outpouring of money. But a distressed asset is one that's generally on the market at the moment. Because of what's happened in terms of interest rates, a lot of the yields have gone out. The capital values have reduced, and we're expecting a huge revaluation in December, end of year valuations, that will then give rise to the ability to sell certain assets in the Q1 next year. But I think everybody, there've been a number of the private equity and American funds that have gone well to print, saying that they expect capital values to fall. There are big war chests that are waiting to basically pile in at an appropriate time. And it's an interesting curve, isn't it? Because actually, as property values fall, the number of people in the market to buy increases. And I think that we have a number of clients that will have to buy on the way down because they might struggle to actually buy when they think it's at the bottom of the market because of the competition. And it's that rush as the capital values come down that then creates that upswing in terms of pricing. But if you don't have to sell in London at the moment, then people are avoiding it. And there's been a number of withdrawals of properties that you would have expected to have sold that haven't made the level, and funds are having to rethink. In one instance, there was a £10 million asset where the highest bid came in at £6 million, a 40% reduction on quoting terms. So I mean, there's a significant level of nervousness about pricing and refurbishment costs as well.
Yeah, there's a pragmatism about Great Britain and the Anglo-Saxon market, which doesn't typically make its way over to the Channel. Certainly in France, there's the inability to deny there's a problem. So what's happening at the moment in France is nothing's been sold at a discount or very little. And in a market where typically we have a 35 billion euro investment market every year, probably down to about 25 this year, people have withdrawn 6 billion euros from the market, where they put it out to the big agents and they weren't getting the pricing. So instead of doing a fire sale, they've taken it back off the market again, which is something that there's a solidarity of all the agents not to admit there's a problem. It's very French. I remember having been here for 4 crises, 4 upturns. When I used to value for large English clients, they were the only clients who'd come over and say, Bill, we need to know where the market is now. You can drop the values, people like MEPC, Hammerson, the rest, you can drop the values to the bottom of the curve where you think it'll be, and then you can never drop it again. Very, very stern. And from that, they started rebuilding, whereas the French would go down by a little death by 1,000 cuts. So at the moment we have, we all know, and this came out of, I wasn't present, but in Expo Real, this sort of feeling that came out of Expo Real, yields in theory have gone out 50 basis points, if not 75 basis points, but no one's done a transaction at those yields. So there's the theoretical level and the real level. So we continue, we're a bit stronger, we're like Germany, we've got cost of funds have gone up, cost of capital has gone up, but it hasn't yet caused that. We would, like England, we'd have a lot of raider funds standing by to pick up anything in great distress. We are beginning to see signs. I'm attending in a few days' time a seminar with most of the quoted property companies. So there's a few of those that actually desperately need to disinvest themselves of part of their property portfolio. Will that convert into a discount on it or not? But I think they'll probably get away with it with a small drop in price. A few of the investors we've talked to, like a big European investors, is Europa Capital. For those you know it, I think some of you have met. Do you remember Andy Watson that we met when those of you who came to Paris? We had Andy Watson who came to lecture us. So he was at LaSalle at the time. He was number 2 of LaSalle Europe. He's now number 2 of Europa Capital. I crossed him the other day and he said, well, we still want to buy X, Y, and Z. Here's the profile. But actually, if you put this to us, we probably won't buy it because the money we'd allocate, and we've still got incoming funds, the money we'd allocate, we now need to keep as a war chest to defend ourselves against withdrawals or other means. So it is changing the domination. But I listened to Alistair talking about Docklands, 30% vacant, £10 a square foot. God, that's an absolute train wreck. We think things are bad because we have a fully functioning central business market, which everything will sell and things going all right, and letting is great. Then we have the periphery, the suburbs, which aren't doing very well at all, and we have the outer suburbs, which are shit. But our shit is nothing like London Docklands, 30% vacant at £10. It's something fairly relative. Most, even our retail market has picked up. Well, there's transferring. Unibuy sold a few shopping centres. There seems to be activity in the ones that are the dead bits of the market, and the strong bits of the market, which is like all of Europe, has been logistics. There we would say there's been a little bit. Logistics dropped to under 3% in France, 2.75 for one deal. We think they're now back out at about 3.25. Which is ridiculously low yields, but that shows the demand. So France continues with there's no pas de problème, Madame la Marquise, as the song goes, we'll see. I'm afraid we'll see a lot of other countries do much worse before the French economy goes on. Just out of interest to Ian is I'm going to meet up with a man from the IDA, who I met when I was over for the SIRR conference just a few days later when we all saw each other. We went and had a lecture from IDA. So they're continuing wanting to talk to people to look for new French investors. Out of interest for Ian, they're looking for French people now in construction firms who'd like to build the new light railway out to your airport. And then they'd like someone to come and put a shitload of money and build social housing in Ireland. So for Germany and the rest. If you know anyone who'd like to put a shitload of money into long leases, which is guaranteed by the Irish government, they're still going through an act to try and put that into place. There are some tremendous opportunities in Ireland.
Yeah, no, I have been buying a lot of it for M&G and Aviva and others Interestingly enough, Bill, some of the most active investors here are French.
Yep.
We've had Quorum, Sofidi,
Yep.
Novaxia, I think they're called,
Yep,
Roco
that's one.
Zen.
Yep.
They're all French income funds. I think they're just chasing yield they can't get in
Yep.
in their home market.
Yes.
All right. Any other markets that we could hear from briefly?
I can give you some input from Italy.
Thank you. Please.
So basically, we're in the same position. The market is quite frozen, and from July, basically, the investor stand by to see what is happening. One side that we're following today, a client of us make a company raising €1 million just to promoting basically the bidder to make swimming pool is basically all the market that is affected by funds from Europe that has infrastructure. And so we are involved in this business that is real estate in brackets, because the swimming pool and all the sport plants, sport facilities. And in this side, there are a lot of requests, movement and stuff. It's not really a standard deal, because basically the real estate will remain to the state, and is basically a management agreement that is under discussion. But there are a lot of money involved, at least minimum 5-6 million euro per swimming pool, and this is what is the business of that is very active. On the other side, we are dealing with some industrial plants that are moving. So who needs to move is not change its plan, but all the investors are quite waiting what is happening.
Thank you, Antonio. May I just ask, just to mention on the investment sales platform, which has been rolled out, Mason, do you want to share some words on that as to how people can put their product out, and perhaps in particular for cross-border transactions, it is an opportunity.
No, it is an opportunity, and I know that headquarters sent out an email to all CORFAC members. Was actually part of the newsletter, if I'm not mistaken, right, Jonathan? With instructions on how to log on, how to use it. I know I've been kind of the promoter of this thing, but I need to find some time to start using it myself, and I plan to do that shortly. So, but no, it's a great opportunity. I've been hearing from CORFAC members throughout the United States and around the world that that have wanted a platform to be able to share haves and needs from an investment standpoint. So that's what we're really striving for. So I would encourage everybody to refer to that email that headquarters sent out, the newsletter email. There were instructions on how to log on and how to utilize it. I think, like anything else, just have to start using it. And I think if we all do, we'll get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and just to follow up on what Mason said, it was part of a newsletter that had a number of other items. We are going to do a standalone email in the next week that will just focus on the platform. So look for that.
And I know, not to speak for Jonathan, but I know Jonathan and staff are always very willing to assist anybody individually that has any questions on how to use it.
Thank you.
Last, I think for our part was unless Morel and Mark want to share a word or two about your markets, I don't want to not give you the opportunity, but if you want to say a sentence or two, please
Sure.
do so.
I will inform you shortly. Shall I begin?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think the Dutch market is equal as the other markets which are just mentioned. Inflation is still very high. October was 16.8% inflation. Energy prices are also very high, government is now how do you say that, developing a program to compensate people in their energy costs, but are very slow in comparison with the other European countries. Consumers are now getting 190 euros a month as a compensation. And the plan is to start with a price ceiling, a cap from the beginning of next year. Real estate wise, we see supply and demand is changing nowadays in the Netherlands. Office market, the supply is not decreasing anymore, but increasing. Logistics is still very good, but yields are now under pressure, as well as at the office market. Retail is still is still lacking in comparison with the other segments, and the investment market is also under very high pressure. Sellers are still wanting to sell with prices of a couple of months ago, but buyers are already anticipating on the current market. So there's a gap between sellers and buyers, and we see that transactions, the amount of transactions is decreasing very rapidly. And last but not least, the transfer tax for investments in the Netherlands will be increasing from the beginning of next year, the 1st of January, from 8% to 10.4%. So that will be taken into account, that there will be more pressure on the investment market next year.
Thank you, Mark. And Mirella.
Thank you.
Yes, so I just want to share 2-3 insights of what is happening currently in our Bucharest and Romanian market. Our business have been balanced on the office segment by the industrial segment, which is on a sort of booming way. And the office has regained its let's say force, but not from the IT companies. So generally companies started to come back to the work, but the employees from IT sector are very difficult to be brought in the office, although the managers would like that. They are 50% of our market, and this creates a bit of a tough situation. But somehow we will see how it moves further. In this moment, the people do not force their employees because there is a high competition for the labor force. What we expect nowadays is that the indexation in Romania, the inflation is 15%. The indexation of the both office and industrial leases are made by Euro CPI, which is kind of 10% nowadays, and we expect this to put a big pressure on the leases, and this may be to create a context for us to renew and to shift some clients. But otherwise, the most easy to access products, we believe in 2023, will be the places that are just fitted out nicely, you know, the subleases, the spaces that get released, disposed by some tenants, because the cost of fit out is something like more than double than 1 year ago. So the prices went really crazy. It's 500 euro per square meter to fit out in a decent manner nowadays. And this puts a pressure and creates a context for the subleases and so on. And last but not least, we do expect here in Romania a very big transaction to take place, namely the Austrian investor CEIMO to sell its portfolio that consists of more than 160,000 square meters of office spaces. And they are in a bid process in which most likely the winning candidate will be a Romanian developed fund, a Romanian owned fund, which is called Dedeman. And the transaction value will be over 400 million. We are not very happy with such a transaction because we will have in our market 3 main office landlords that will have huge portfolio that will be able to shift the clients from one building to another more easy than in the past. But this is life, and we will, however, navigate and spot the niches wherever.
And in our closing moment, I give it to you, Jonathan, to wind it up and maybe just say a word about International Insights, a social media campaign, which is coming to us soon.
You bet. First of all, thank you. Great turnout, great conversation. I've been recording this, so I will share that with all of you if you want to reflect back. And Marina, if you want to send me your slide deck, I can forward that to everybody as well. Mason talked briefly about the sales platform. I think it's going to be a great new service for CORFAC members. So like I said, look for that. I'm going to run through all these very quickly because I know we're running past time. We're currently working on the 2023 CORFAC budget, which includes a piece for international. So if there's anything that comes to mind, and I'm not saying that the amount is going to go up or down a lot, but if you think of anything new where that money could be allocated, I know we use a lot of it for Expo Real. I know Friss has used it for a conference in Amsterdam the last couple of years. We use part of it to pay for the expenses of the summer meeting, but you know, think about that if there's anything you've got of interest. If there's any markets that you have connections where CORFAC currently does not have an office, please think about that. And you know, we've added 5 new international firms this year, which is fabulous. But there's markets out there where we still don't have representation. So as you think about your clients and relationships in other markets, just think about that. I know that Patricia, who's our marketing consultant, has contacted and worked with some of you already. She will be reaching out to all of you again. Our numbers have grown dramatically in social media, and we want that to continue. So, and our international partners are every bit as important as everybody else. So you'll be hearing from her soon if you haven't already. I think, am I missing anything, Daniel?
I think that's everything. Only to say once again, thank you to everyone for participating. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Just mention, actually, I'm on giving a bit of advice to Alan and Blair Wood from WWM Real Estate. I think they're in Cincinnati.
They're in Cleveland. I'm glad. Good. He contacted me, Bill, and he said he was looking to reach out. That's great.
Cleveland, yeah. So they had something which might become a sale and leaseback in France, and I've given a good reply on that. And then they actually had 2 properties of the same American company that are in Sweden. So not having a partner there, I've actually done a bit of background research, learned about Sweden, and given an opinion. But yes, we could really do with an investment broker in Sweden if what they're doing, which is a sale and lease back from a big American multinational.
We have we also, I don't recall the name, Bjorn Johannesson is his name, but the name of the firm I don't remember, but there is a company that we work with, there's some few offices in Sweden, and it was also a sale leaseback for a Swiss company which owned property there.
Oh, well, that actually, if you can send me the details, I'll send them through, or I'll pass them on to Alan Wood, but we need to ping someone fairly shortly because I don't know if it'll go ahead. We give an advice. I think this American firm needs some cash, so they want to sell these back really fast.
Well, we should speak. In 2 weeks' time, I will spend a few days in Stockholm to meet with them, so can also follow up.
Oh, okay. well, let's talk before. There's an office in Stockholm, 2,000 square meters, 2,500, and then there's a 18,000 square meter production things in the middle of a forest in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, well, that sounds more similar to the project that we had before, so they're good at that as well. Okay, great. I'll follow up with you, Bill.
Okay.
Then, thank you very much, everyone. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Wonderful.
Have a
you.
nice
See you guys.
day. Bye
Thank
Happy
bye.
holidays.
Thanks,
Happy
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
everybody. Yes,
Thank you.
bye. Bye-bye.